Nobody rises like this by accident. Dan Watkins Jr. did not enter the world of internet looking polished, strategic or even remotely stable. He appeared loud, volatile, overreactive and one bad moment away from becoming a clip. And that, more than talent, more than charm, more than any grand plan, is what made the entire internet fall in love with him. Not because he was smooth, because he looked like he was always 1 second away from breaking. That was the beginning of IShowSpeed. And from the very start, the whole thing felt wrong in the most fascinating way possible. A kid on a webcam racing at FIFA, screaming at pixels like the game had personally insulted his family name, turning every missed shot into a public meltdown. It looked stupid at first, harmless even, just another teenager on the internet doing teenager things with too much volume and not enough self-control. But the internet has a rotten talent for rewarding instability. The louder he got, the more people watched. The more unhinged he became, the more his clips spread. The more he looked like he was losing control, the more valuable he became. It was never about skill, it was about spectacle. It was about the strange comfort people find in watching someone else flirt with collapse while pretending it's all part of the entertainment. And Speed understood that early, whether he admitted it or not. He didn't become famous because he was the best at anything. He became famous because he was impossible to ignore. He had the kind of presence that made people stop scrolling even when they didn't want to. The barking, the yelling, the sudden rage, the fake confidence, the outsized reactions, it all fit together like pieces of a personality that had been stressed so far past normal that it started to look like a warning sign. That was the FIFA era, the Rage era, the phase where Speed was still young enough that people could laugh it off as goofy internet behavior, but old enough for the first cracks to start showing through. He wasn't building a brand yet, he was building a survival mechanism. He learned fast that if he kept the energy high enough, nobody had time to ask whether he was okay. That's how internet personalities are made. They don't get discovered, they get amplified. When the audience stops seeing a person and starts seeing a pattern, the person slowly disappears. The internet no longer cares what happened before the clip or after it. It only cares about the 10 seconds it can replay forever. And Speed gave it endless material. If there was a camera on, he was performing. If there was a chat, he was escalating. If there was a reaction to mine, he mined it with both hands and no helmet. He became famous by looking like a disaster and learned how to profit from it before the disaster ever had a chance to catch up. But there was always one obsession hiding underneath the noise.
Cristiano Ronaldo, Suey!
At first, it looked like the kind of internet joke that dies in a week. Some loud teenager becoming weirdly fixated on a football player. Another bid, another phase, another thing for people to clip and move on from. But Speed didn't move on. He latched onto Ronaldo with the intensity of someone who had found a symbol big enough to hold all his chaos.
Take a picture, please. Oh my God, I love you, bro. My son tell me that. Bro, yes, bro. Hey, I love you, bro. Ronaldo, I'm a big fan, bro. Ronaldo, look. I got you right here. Hey, wait, Suey. Ronaldo, Suey. I love you, bro. Hey, take a picture. Take a picture. Oh my God, bro. Did we did? Okay, I'm sorry. Oh my God.
When Speed finally met Ronaldo in Portugal in June 2023, the moment landed because it looked like the first time the act broke open for a second. He wasn't barking, he wasn't screaming, he wasn't forcing chaos into the room. For once, he just looked overwhelmed, and that mattered because it reminded people there was still a real kid somewhere underneath the performance. And of course, the internet clipped that too. But the warning signs had already started peeling up long before the Ronaldo moment. The firework incident on July 4, 2022 was one of those moments. It sounded almost cartoonish until you actually picture it. A streamer lighting fireworks indoors on camera while people around him told him to stop. But that's the Speed formula. He does not just push boundaries, he drags them behind him and acts surprised when the wall starts cracking. The room could have gone up. The whole stream could have turned from entertainment into disaster in seconds, and what made it so unsettling was how perfectly it fits his image. Of course, Speed would do something reckless enough to terrify everybody and somehow survive the backlash with another round of viral clips. That's the pattern. Every time the content gets more dangerous, the line between performance and negligence gets thinner. Every time he does something reckless, the audience laughs first and worries later. And every time the audience forgives him, it teaches him that the next step can be worse. The internet does not stop trains. It throws confetti in front of them. Then came the controversy that should have permanently stained him. The Aaron Ross and Cass incident on December 13, 2021. By then, Speed was already known as the loud, chaotic, over-the-top kid who could turn any room into a circus. But this time, it was different.
Hey, hold on, wait. Alright, but look though. I got a psychological question, okay? Say if we the last two people on Earth and we had to reproduce to make the world continue. Would you reproduce with me?
No, because that means our kids will have to intertwine and then their kids, no.
Who gonna stop me?
I will.
Who's gonna stop me?
I will.
If we the last two people on Earth, who gonna stop me?
Yeah. Come on.
This was the point when the performance crossed into something ugly, and Aaron had to immediately step in and shut it down. During Aaron Ross' livestream, Speed made sexually violent remarks toward Cass. The room and the energy changed instantly. The clip stopped being funny in the way bad internet clips always do once everybody realizes the person on screen has gone too far for real. That moment mattered because it stripped the whole "he just joking" defense into down to nothing. That's the seal people always reach for when streamers cross a line.
Sorry y'all for that bad scream I just had, y'all. I apologize. I'm sorry.
And some jokes do not land wrong. Some jokes reveal exactly what kind of person feels comfortable saying them publicly. The backlash was immediate because it wasn't ambiguous. A woman had become the target of degrading violent joke for entertainment, and the entire live stream had to absorb the ugliness in real time. That should have been a clear line. Instead, it became another chapter in the mythology. Another clip, another controversy, another piece of internet history people could condemn while still helping it spread. That's how the machine works. It punishes you by making you bigger. After that, the bans started coming, and the wall slowly started to close in. Which banned him in December 2021, and it should have felt like a major rupture. Instead, it became another dark badge in the history. That's the horror of the internet fame. Punishment does not always stop the myth. Sometimes it deepens it. The outrage made the clips more searchable, the bans made him feel more dangerous, the criticism only proved people were watching, and in internet culture, being watched is half the battle. Being hated often becomes a second audience, then the world stays opened up. This was the moment where Speed stopped belonging solely to internet culture and were dragged into actual global attention. People who had never watched a live stream in their life suddenly recognized the screaming Ronaldo kid. That's when the story stopped being about streamer culture and becoming something much bigger, because now he wasn't just online anymore. He was everywhere. He became part of football culture in the way only an internet personality could. Loud, emotional, overcommitted, and impossible to ignore. The audience widened, the pressure widened, and the whole thing started feeling less like comedy and more like somebody being swallowed by the size of their own persona. The bigger he got, the less control he seemed to have. That's when the public chaos became impossible to ignore. When Speed shows up in public, the audience does not behave like a line of fans. It behaves like a swan that found a moving target. That's what internet fame looks like once it escapes the screen. Admiration mutates into pressure, and pressure mutates into danger. That happened more and more throughout 2023 and 24 as Speed appeared in public IRL stream with creators like Nad and Aaron Ross. People stopped seeing him as a streamer and started seeing him as a live event. That sounds glamorous until you realize it means he no longer gets to exist like a normal human being. He becomes a spectacle with a pulse. In July 2024, during a live stream in Oslo, Norway, the situation became so chaotic that the cops could only properly intervene if the stream stopped. That detail feels almost symbolic. The spectacle can continue, the safety can't. Then came the less viral but equally important problem: The woman, the dating show era, the omegle chaos, the constant awkward attempts to turn discomfort into entertainment, and also without ever seeming mature enough to control where the line actually was. A lot of Speed's content during that phase felt like somebody trying to prove they were older than they really were by making everyone else uncomfortable at first. The random flirtation, the awkward public interaction, the moment where he pushed too hard and then acted like the reaction itself was the joke. It all followed the same pattern. He did not know when to stop, so not knowing when to stop became the part of the brand.
What? Talking to me? Am I no? Am I tripping? Am I tripping? Oh, wait, time out. It's a female talking to me right now.
Even the moments that should have made him look human eventually got pulled back into the chaos.
What am I doing? Oh, I can't do this.
His emotional reactions, his relationship with his brother Jamal, his father appearing in the larger family story, those moments should have softened the image. Sometimes they did, sometimes you could still see the kid underneath the machine, but the machine always came back louder. That's what made him so difficult to pin down, because he was never fake in the simple sense. He was too impulsive for that, too emotionally exposed, too inconsistent. The real question was never whether he was real. The real question was whether he had built a version of himself so unstable that the internet could no longer separate the performance from the person underneath it. And somewhere in the middle of all the chaos, he also did some good things.
What you want to eat? What you want to eat, bro?
Take this. Take it. Take it. Take it. Take this. Take it. Seriously, no, take it. No.
The characters stopped looking invincible, and underneath all the noise, you could actually see the traces of somebody trying to become the worst version of himself. That's what makes Speed difficult to reduce into a simple villain story, because sometimes underneath the screaming, there really does seem to be a good person fighting to survive the machine that made him famous. And that part matters because it stops the story from being cartoonishly simple. He helped people, showed generosity, gave money, attention and visibility when he didn't have to. There were moments where the screaming disappeared and you could actually see somebody trying to use their platform for something better. Those moments do not erase the damage, but they complicate the story. And honestly, that makes the whole thing darker, because if he were only evil, the explanation would be easy. If he were only a joke, the explanation would be more easier. But he is neither. He is a real person who became famous by feeding the worst instincts of the internet and then got trapped inside the same unstable personality that made him valuable in the first place. That is not a redemption story. That is basically a pressure cooker. The real curse of being Speed is not becoming famous. It is all about staying Speed. If he acts like himself, the line between himself and the persona disappears again. He cannot really win. He can only keep performing the version of himself the internet recognizes, even if that version slowly starts consuming his real life in return. That is what makes the question around Speed so uncomfortable. Is IShowSpeed a character, or is the character the only version of him the internet still allows to exist?